Got to change a brake chamber. Parking brake is leaking, and happened while I was at work. Had to do an emergency repair to get me so I could work, and what happened was the parking brake biscuit inside here blew out and started leaking air, and I couldn't hold enough air to keep the spring brakes off. Okay, so I'm underneath the truck, and this is the side that's leaking real bad. I just put this clamp on there. Listen. Then I'm going to go get some duct tape and wrap around this to hold that on there. Out on this hose and put a caging bolt down here. And now I got an interruption. I'll show about that caging bolt later. I got a wrench hanging on it right now just to make sure it was good and tight. I'm down here on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and loosen up this slack adjuster and take the cotter pins out that hold it in and start taking this thing loose. This brake chamber has two air lines going to it. One is the one that's towards the back of it, which is right here, and that's one that's got the hose clamp on it, and then that one's towards the back. That's this one here where the spring brake is, and then the brake that applies the brake is up here in the front, so the air line for that one is here. Got that loose where this swivels now. I had to put a vice grip on this because this fitting right here was turning, and shoot, it was too 9/16 was too small, 5/8 was too big, so vice grip fits pretty good. Anyway, got this cracked loose, and this is not going to be that good of a video quality because time is a problem. I'm going to start going on, and I need two hands to do it. No time for tripods. I'm going to go on ahead and take this hose clamp off of here. And I'll show you that when I get it off. I got it in other videos, but we'll put it on this one too. There's my hose clamp pliers. Got these at Harbor Freight for, I think they were $14. So now I'm gonna, oh, it looks like I tightened that back up with the wrench again. I'm gonna loosen this up, and I'm just gonna put both hands, one hand up here spinning this one that way, and then the other hand down here after I crack it loose again and turn it that way to get it out of there. Okay, got this hose off of there, and this side here is still attached, but it's just, I got it loosened up where it swivels. So I'm going to do the same thing on this one here. Okay, we got the hoses off, got the caging bolt in, which you don't always have to do, but it helps if you do that. I think the last video I didn't use the caging bolt. I'll show you what that is when we get out on the floor after we get this off. We got this lock nut cracked loose on this clevis. And the reason I do it while it's out here, because it's easier than having this thing wander around, roll around on me while I'm trying to get it loose on the ground. So to crack this upper bolt loose, I double wrenched it. There's no room to get an impact up there, so I put one wrench on it, and then I hooked another wrench on it that's about the same size, hooked it on there like that, and use that for leverage. And I just did that to crack the bottom one loose too, which I probably put on with an impact. I don't remember. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take those bolts off, and that's all there is to getting the thing off of there. We got our cotter pins and our pins out of these. That's your self adjuster. Got it all off, should be ready to just pop right off of there. It's just kind of sticking with rust and dirt. I should just be able to punch that with the heel of my hand and it pop off. Yeah, it's off. It's right laying right there. And one thing, in case I forget when I'm putting it back on, I want to mention this hourglass shaped hole that that piece bolts onto when it goes on here. We were on the upper half of that hourglass shaped hole, not the lower half. And you got to make sure that your rod is coming out square with that and not coming out at an angle, and that's why there's two different positions there, because some brake chambers could mount on the other hole, on the lower hole instead of the upper one. And I don't know exactly what the difference would be on the brake chamber itself, but the rod won't be coming out straight. It'll be binding up, and you don't want that. So you want to make sure that your rod is square with the face of the brake chamber. You want to make sure the rod is square with that when it comes out and not at an angle when it hooks onto this. So that's why you got those two positions there. One is right and one is wrong. Got to thread this nut down all the way down to the end, and got to take it off the old one too and put that on top of it. Sometimes this clevis can be pretty hard to get off of there. We got the lock nut loosened up, but I'm going to grab a vice grips. I may wind up getting a small pipe wrench in here and to start cranking this thing loose. Hopefully we don't have to use heat on it. Okay, the vice grip did not work. We got this caging bolt in there, so one thing I'm going to do is try to get the caging bolt out without unscrewing it. Let's see if I can get away with this. I don't think I'm going to get away with it because the air diaphragm in there is broken. Nope, I'm going to have to unscrew this bolt. Okay, I can't get the caging bolt out, so it got jammed in there. I guess I tightened it too tight. So what I'm doing is I'm putting air in the brake apply port. That's the one closest to the front, and I'm using this wrench as a tape measure, and it came out to, it's a 3/4 wrench, it came out to right at the 3 on the 3/4 to the face of this nut here. Do it again. That's where it's coming out to. So since it doesn't have to be exact, just real close, I'm going to do the same thing over here, and I'm going to put air in there, and I'm going to adjust this nut to that same position. Okay, where I want it. I don't like doing it that way, but got that adjusted. And now I gotta put a pipe wrench on this to get the nut off of there. I mean, to get the clevis off of there. Not going to happen. Okay, I'm going to have to put this in a vise and get a torch on it. If you don't have a torch and you're doing this, you may have to bring it to someone, to a shop somewhere, and have them get that off for you. I already got it cracked loose, but I just got it in the vise and I put some heat on that. Takes a little bit longer than what you just saw, but I already had it heated up and cracked it loose. I've got the pipe wrench on there and I'm just turning it with this wrench inside the clevis there. Okay, I gotta go grab something to get it off of there with. Put it in some water, cool it down. Okay, I got that off of there, but I'm not going to cool it down right away because when you cool something down that's really hot, it tends to shrink and it might make it hard for the threads to thread in. So I'm going to let it cool down by itself a little bit first. But I'm going to take this one and dunk it in the water so I can get that nut off of there. That nut's just twisting right off my hand now after dunking it in the water. And if I can thread this one down, I'm going to thread this one all the way down until it meets that one. Got that nut threaded all the way down till it meets this one that we adjusted. And now I'm going to thread the clevis on here just to make sure that we're threading good. Once I'm sure that we're threading good, take it back off. And then see approximately how thick it is. I'm going to say it's about 3/4. I got a 3/4 wrench here. Let's stick that on there and see how it fits. It could be slightly less than 3/4. It's a pretty good fit. So we're going to add that same 3/4 to the face of the first nut, the lock nut. This one here is just a thread chaser, so that when we cut this bar off of here, this threaded rod off of here, we got something to unscrew and clean up the threads a little bit without taking a chance on damaging the threads on the new nut. I'm going to turn this sideways and get ready to cut that off. We'll be cutting it off. You just thread this out just a little bit past the end of where it threads out of the clevis there. Not much, 1/16 of an inch or so is plenty. So we'll just give that thing about, I'm going to give it maybe about 1/2 inch out here, maybe a little less. 1/2 inch out there. I'm going to get a cutoff wheel. You could do that with a hacksaw. It'd take you a while. You could use a Sawzall. You could use a torch. But if you use a torch, then you got to grind the burrs off of it and bevel all the way around. But a cutoff wheel is about the easiest thing. If you got one of those small, thin 4-inch cutoff wheels or 3-inch, whatever they are. That's what I'm going to use on it. That's about the easiest. Here's the little cutoff wheel that I'm going to use on it. It's just a little, I don't know what store I got it at, doesn't matter. You can get them at Harbor Freight for little or nothing. A little 3-inch cutoff wheel that goes on there, a little thin one. Trying to put this caging bolt in, I think I lost some video there. I thought the thing was recording and it wasn't. Put the nut and washer back on it. I better start from the beginning because I think I lost some video. The caging bolt was in here on the new one, like that. And I took that off. And now, I think the last time I did a video, I'm just rushing right now and I'm nervous because I'm trying to beat the sun because the weather is going to be bad from now on. And I got to work. I can't stay home waiting for the weather to be nice, and I don't want to do this in bad weather. But it's nice right now for the moment. Got to fish this around in there until I find the center of that, and it should go in there. There it goes. It went in there now. It's just a little sticky. Push it in there and then you turn it to the right. It's only going to turn so far while you're pulling on it, and it'll lock into place. But you pull on it hard and you try to turn it, and if it won't move, then you know you got it. And you center that, tighten that down with a 3/4 wrench. And what that does is it pulls your parking spring. It pulls it back and pulls it back out here. Pulls the parking brake back inside so that you don't have to back your brakes off all the way. And of course that's easier with an impact wrench and a long deep socket. Okay, I'm putting this back on, and I'm using the old nuts because I want to save these nice pretty shiny ones in case I need them for something. This is my truck, so I don't care. And remember the hourglass shaped hole, I'm in the upper portion of that, and so I'm going to go ahead and get that on. And we obviously didn't pull that caging bolt in far enough because I'm a little bit past where I need to be. I'll show you that when I get it on. Okay, you don't want to pull these nuts down extremely tight. They do need to be tight. I'd say a good 75 foot-pounds, no more than 100. They surely don't need to go that far because this is not a part that you change one time. This thing gets changed every now and then throughout the life of a truck or a trailer. They don't last real long, and so you don't want to tighten it down too awful tight, or you're going to have a bear of a time getting it off the next time, and you might be in a place where you don't have all the tools that you want. Anyway, I tightened the top one down with a wrench, and then I put a double wrench on it, but I didn't push with all my might, maybe half of my might when I tightened it down that way. And then this one here, I can just go ahead and snug that down with the impact. Well, I got the main pin started, but the self-adjusting pin has got a crack in it, and I felt it when it was bent, and then when I tried to straighten it out, I felt like it was giving kind of easy, and so I looked it over pretty close, and I did see a crack in it. It's about to break. But I went through my stuff and I found a 1/4 20 bolt that's the same length, and I'm going to use that and put 2 nuts. I'm going to double nut the end of that bolt so that those don't come off of there. So once again, I don't have anything to hold the camera down here, so I'll have to do this. I don't want that to get caught on the outside. I can put that through this side. So the nuts are out here. Okay, and I don't want that locked on tight, so when I double nut that, I'm going to leave just a little bit of space there so it has a little freedom to slide in and out a little bit. Okay, I got those locked tight against each other, and I got plenty of side play there. And now I gotta go ahead and get this one in there. I need 2 hands. Alright. I forgot to put these fittings in here. I gotta go get them off the other chamber. But first I'm going to get this caging bolt out of here. Alright, I'm threading these things in, and they are a standard tapered pipe thread, which means they get tighter as they go in. And you got to be careful that you don't put them on too tight, and then you can't get it to turn all the way around to where it's supposed to be facing. And sorry about getting the camera off of there, but I need both of these to be facing up. And okay, so it's facing up. That's the way it was. I'm going to do the other one that way. And if I wasn't able to get that all the way around without really wrenching it too tight, then what I'd do is I'd take it back off and I'd wrap some Teflon tape, 3 or 4 wraps around the threads, and do it again. And then one of 2 things will happen. Either the Teflon tape will kind of lubricate it and help you get it tighter, or it'll just take up that extra space and where you can stop it before it gets too far. And anyway, it's just another option you can use if you are having trouble wrenching it all the way around to where you want it to be. Okay, I have got my brake lines tight, and I just put my plug back in where the caging bolt goes, and I'm going to I got to tighten up the swivel line up here on the top of this one because I'm still underneath. Then I'm going to put air to the brake and release the parking brake, and then I'm going to adjust this brake out properly. I have got my spring brake released, and I can check my adjustment now. I know it's loose, but 2 ways of adjusting it. One, I can just tighten the brakes all the way down and then lift this little cap up here on this little ratcheting thing here. I can lift that up, and then I can turn the adjusting screw backwards half a turn, and that's a good preset adjustment. Not real accurate, but it's good. It's good enough. Or I can put this big screwdriver right in here in between this and pull this out all the way out till it stops, until it's hard, and then adjust my brake until I got only about 1 1/4 to 1.5 inches of rod coming out. I got a video on adjusting brakes, but I can't really do it right now without having the camera on a tripod. Okay, I just adjusted it to the first method, tightening it all the way down and then backing it off half a turn. And this is how much space I get between here. You can see between this nut here and the face of this, we got maybe 3/8 of an inch. Let's pull this out, and we're getting about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. That's pretty good. Now I'm going to go behind me and check the other side.